Yo, this is Regal with TrashPandaPolitics. Today I wanted to talk about a subject that has been bothering me for a little while, and I seen something on Twitter recently that brought it back to my attention, and that's the supposed trust issues that have developed between Ukraine and the United States of America. Now, as many of you are aware, Ukraine is currently in a conflict with Russia, who is attempting to invade them, and the United States up until this point has sent over $74.3 billion in aid, including everything from humanitarian aid, financial aid, and military expenses. As it currently stands, there's about $60 billion in aid that's being held up by House Republicans, but that discussion is not what we're here about. You see, on Twitter there seems to be this prevailing thought that the United States has betrayed Ukraine by no longer providing billions in aid, even though the United States has provided Ukraine the most aid throughout the entirety of this conflict. And we've also recently learned that the CIA had been helping the Ukrainians since way back in 2014. Ukrainians or other Europeans even will often take to Twitter to criticize the US and its lack of support and throw around some incredibly inflammatory claims when it's Europe who, in my opinion, has failed Ukraine if an ally is to blame. And the only reason they don't get the criticism is Ukraine's ambition to at the very least join the EU. And before the GDP percentage people will try to correct me, $74.3 billion is more money than $500 million regardless of how you slice it. That $500 million doesn't have more purchasing power due to coming from a weaker economy. It's just a dumb argument to make, in my opinion. It's like seeing a rich person donate a sizable amount to a charity and then claiming, well, that's only like $5 to them, when in reality that sizable amount of money will make a world of difference compared to your $5. Irregardless of this, it would seem that the Ukrainian sentiment online, at the very least, is that the US has broke the trust between them due to the pause in aid. And some of the things that get said make you wonder if they're familiar with the popular idiom, don't bite the hand that feeds you, at least from the American point of view. Nearly every time it starts with them first saying how much they appreciate everything and then completely shit all over the United States. It's like shaking someone's hand and spitting in their face at the same time. When Ukraine denuclearized, the nuclear weapons were literally handed over to Russia, and then it was the United States who was supposed to provide the security assurances to Ukraine, and Russia was to respect their sovereignty. Kinda seems like a dumb idea to give Russia more nukes and ourselves more responsibility, but whatever, that was the agreement. Now, I would make the argument that the US has provided $74.3 billion in security assurances just during the course of this conflict, while the US is currently $34.5 trillion in national debt. And yes, I know the money for funding Ukraine comes out of the yearly defense budget, but even still, providing a blank check forever was never going to be an option. Another aspect to this is the United States not trusting Ukraine simply because they will not listen to them at all. Don't know what I'm talking about or need examples? We provided weaponry under the agreement that they wouldn't be used to target Russian soil and escalate the situation. What then followed was Ukraine arming the Russian separatists working with them with American equipment to attack Russia on Russian soil. I mean, we advised them to leave Bakhmut early, and granted they refused, and they did inflict a high level of Russian casualties. But the problem with that is when a similar situation happened in Avdiivka, the Ukrainians again ignored the advice, never set up a secondary line behind what they held in Avdiivka, which resulted in Russia getting significant gains after the ultimate fall of Avdiivka. Long story short, no matter how much I may support Ukraine, in reality it would seem that they want funded indefinitely until they win or cease to exist, regardless of what financial situation that puts the US in, and if they even so much as trip on their way to delivering the supplies, they can expect to be belittled, mocked, and disrespected by the civilians of the very country they are attempting to assist. I feel like it comes off as a very Eurocentric way of thinking. The world may have seemed like it revolved around Europe for centuries, but that is no longer the case. I mean, Europe's sole concern seems to be Russia. However, the United States has many more enemies and alliances outside of Europe. I'd go into a whole list of each, but I think I want to save that for another video. Point is, we support Ukraine, we want to see you win. I personally would even like to see the aid pass in the House, but if we're talking about broken trust, maybe take a look in the mirror and also some accountability, because trust is a two-way street. And no matter the desperation of the situation, entitlement is a turnoff. This has been Regal with TrashPandaPolitics, signing out.